This is Pastor Erwin McManus. And I just want to say right off the bat, like, I don't typically talk about pastors on this show directly. I usually save it for my Substack. But this one is so bizarre and egregious and crazy that I had to do something. This is wild.
I actually think that Christianity is sick. We talk about grace and forgiveness and redemption. We have none. We just got sucked right into cancel culture. It's only because of Jesus that I actually hold on to this, because Christianity is, to me, a very destructive and toxic culture. If I were going to choose a faith system based on my ability to start over again and to be forgiven and to be free from shame and guilt, I don't know if I would pick this one. Humans are imperfect. If you want humans to be Jesus, you've got this whole thing confused.
What are we talking about? What is up with these LA pastors and losing their minds and like deconstructing? Like it's almost like, to be an LA pastor, to be an LA leader, you have to deconstruct. That's a rite of passage. It's like, hey, like they're like, you know, it's like, hey, what are you doing here? You know, hey, I'm trying to start a church in LA, and the pastors gather around you and they're like, hey, yeah, we heard that you want to start a church in LA. That's great. But, you know, there's just one thing you have to do to, you know, to have all of our approval to plant your church in LA. And the guy's like, oh, what do I have to do? And they're like, you have to deconstruct. I'm sorry. It's one of those things. Once we've seen that you hate Christianity and that you're going to, you know, do your best to work against Orthodox historic Christianity, then we'll let you pastor, you know, we'll let you start your church. But up until then, you're not in the club. Sorry. But anyway, I just thought that was insane. So he starts off by saying
Christianity is sick. We talk.
Okay. Christianity's sick. So full stop. Christianity is sick. So it's like, okay. So, okay. I'll have some grace. Okay. And I'll have some forgiveness here. And I'll say, okay, I think he's clearly talking about Christianity today. Not the magazine, good God, because that magazine is sick. But he's talking about Christianity in today's culture, today's society. Now, the problem with that is it's so imprecise that he's saying that Christianity, like, globally is this way. Like, so Christianity in every nation, on every continent, is sick. So, like, Christianity in the entire world, everywhere, is sick. Not just like, so do you see what happens when you're imprecise? This is why you have to be precise. This is why you have to, you know, you got to think about these things intelligently. You can't just, you know, shoot your mouth off and, you know, hope for the best, which it seems like he's kind of doing. He's shooting from the hip here. Christianity is sick. Okay. This is how deconstructive people think and talk, right?
Talk about grace and forgiveness and redemption. We have none.
Okay, so we talk about grace and forgiveness and redemption, but we have none. Again, no citation, just shooting, yapping, saying words into the world, into the internet. I didn't, by the way, make this clip. He made this clip and shared this clip with all of these people all over the world. You know, people are going to say, oh, you're so judgmental. It's like, well, this guy is speaking on behalf of Christianity. He's apparently a Christian leader, and he's just dumping on Christianity generally, and with no real qualification, no citation. He's saying we talk about grace, forgiveness, and redemption, and we have none. So he's indicting every single church again, all over the world. Even okay, let's just say he's not talking about every church all over the world. Let's just say he's talking about every church in America. You're going to tell me that every single church in America, the vast majority of churches in America, have no grace, no forgiveness, and no redemption. So the vast majority of churches in America, they are not teaching the gospel. There are no churches he said we have none. That was his words, not mine. Okay. He didn't even say the majority. I'm saying the majority because I'm trying to be charitable here. But he literally, his own words, he's like, we have none. There's none. And I'm the extremist, right? The traditional Orthodox Christian, the reactionary Christian, I'm the extremist. That sounds extreme to me, and extreme at the wrong end, right? That sounds like that statement there has no grace, no forgiveness, no redemptive element to it. That sounds like insanely harsh, insanely like irrationally harsh judgment, hasty generalization, rash judgment. That does not sound like a calculated statement. That sounds like, again, a guy who's shooting his mouth off. That's what that sounds like to me.
We just got sucked right into cancel culture. It's only because of Jesus that I actually hold on to this, because Christianity is, to me, a very destructive and toxic culture.
Christianity, to me, this is a Christian leader in LA, okay? He's saying, and he's been by the way, this guy has been in Christianity a long time, okay? This guy's probably been in ministry for 30 years, probably Christian ministry. And he's got a very large congregation of Christians in LA, and he influences a lot of people. And he's saying that Christianity is, to him personally, a very destructive and toxic culture. Now, again, I'm assuming he's talking about modern Christianity. Just assuming here, trying to be charitable, that he's not talking about 2,000 years of Christianity, but he's actually talking about just modern Christianity, and particularly, in the Christianity that he understands in America, American Christianity. Okay. But still, it's an unacceptable term. That American Christianity, the church in America, Christianity, in general, in its contemporary form, is destructive and toxic. Again, this is deconstructive language, and it's, again, rash judgment, hasty generalization, full of zero citations, zero citations given, to the point where it's like, does this even deserve a response? This sounds just so emotionally charged, because and so sensational. It's like clickbait almost. It's like he wants you to just get riled up and be provocative. There's no citation here, right? There's no example of what he's talking about here. So this destructive, toxic Christian culture in America, this is this the same destructive, toxic Christian culture in America that fought against Roe v. Wade for 50 years? Are you talking about, just for clarity, are you talking about that Christian culture, the Christian culture that fights for the life of the unborn child, that cares deeply for innocent children in the womb, so that it fights against a demonic culture of death that tries to kill children in the womb? Is that the destructive and toxic Christian culture you're talking about, Mr. McManus? Is that the one? Or is it the Christian culture, the toxic, destructive Christian culture that fights against the ability of doctors to lop off genitalia in children, and tries to protect children from transgender surgery? Is that the destructive, toxic Christian culture? So what are we talking about here as it pertains to toxic, destructive culture? I'm really curious as to his examples here, and if he would include the pro-life movement and the anti-LGBTQ movement, particularly the anti-tranny kids movement. Is that a part of destructive, toxic culture, Christian culture?
I were going to choose a faith system based on my ability to start over again and to be forgiven and to be free from shame and guilt. I don't know if I would pick this one.
So again, this just makes me think that he's deconstructing his faith, and he's doing so publicly because, again, he's clipping this and he's sending this message with no, he's like, there's no indication that he's talking about a form of Christianity, like fundamentalist Christianity, which I hate them. I don't like fundamentalist Christianity or puritanical Christianity. I really don't like that kind of Christianity. I'm not a fan of that kind of Christianity any more than I am of liberal Christianity. So there are forms of Christianity that we can talk about, but it's just a broad brush here, right? He's, again, just talking in general terms. Christianity, I would not choose the Christian system. If I was to choose another system all over again, I would not choose the Christian system because the Christian system does not help me and does not help people with shame and guilt. And to that, I just say the fundamental truths of the Christian system that Orthodox Christian churches teach is that you are free of your shame and your guilt after you've repented of your sins and received the justification and sanctification of Christ, after you've received the forgiveness of your sins, after you've received the grace for your sins by Jesus Christ. Yes, I mean, you are cleansed. And, as long as you've repented, you are cleansed. Your sins are forgiven. And God has thrown them into the sea of forgetfulness. And God has given you, his grace to strengthen you and empower you. This is this is such a fundamental message that, I'm not a fan of Calvinism, but Calvinist churches preach this. I'm not a fan of even Arminianism, but a lot of Arminian churches preach this. This is a very basic Christian teaching. And this teaching is like basically the earmark of a Christian church. So I don't know what he's talking about.
They're imperfect.
Genuinely.
If you want human.
So he goes, this is his last statement. This is the last crazy thing he says.
Humans are imperfect. If you want humans to be Jesus, you've got this whole thing confused.
Okay. Humans are imperfect. If you want humans to be Jesus, you've got this whole thing confused. So for me, that last statement, I can understand. It doesn't really tie into anything else he said. But he said, humans are imperfect. If you want humans to be like Jesus, you've got this whole thing confused. The truth is that humans who are Christians are called to walk in the steps of Christ. They are called to be disciples of Christ. And by being a disciple, they are to sit under the tutelage of their master and learn from their master and learn how to be like their master. So humans that are Christians are undergoing a process of sanctification. We call this process sanctification, where they are learning how to be like Christ, and they are learning to follow in the footsteps of their master, as the Bible commands Christians to love God and to love their neighbor. And these are the commands of Christ that disciples are commanded to do. Disciples of Christ are commanded to love God with all their heart and soul and mind and strength, and to love their neighbor. Well, as we are commanded to love God, we are supposed to love God, and then as we love God through obedience, which is the manifestation of our love to God, we are changed into the image of Christ. Well, obviously we also receive the grace of God in order to help us to obey, in order to help us to love God, in order to help us to love our neighbor. But this is a process by which the grace of God is given, and we learn to cooperate with the grace of God in obedience, in love and obedience. And so the point, though, is that the end result is that we are, as Christians, as human Christians, we are called to be like Jesus. And hopefully we should be like Jesus. And I don't believe it's confusing to people, certainly not doesn't seem confusing to Jesus that we should follow in his footsteps since he commanded us to do so. And so it seems to me like Erwin is confused. That's what it seems to me.